Hey guys, what's going on? It's Hollywood Steve on the Hollywood Steve Wrestling Podcast. Just coming down an hour or so ago, breaking news on WWE releases. Um, this one, this is shocking. That the New Day have been released from the WWE. Kofi Kingston Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods have been released from the WWE along with Tanga and JC Metao. Now, what I just heard was that I guess Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods asked for their release last Monday. So they are asked for their release, and they were released last Monday. But it wasn't finalized until today. And they were moved to the alumni section of the WWE of the WWE.com page. And of course, along with JC Metao and Tongaloa, which I'm not surprised by the JC Metao release or the Tongaloa release. I am surprised by the New Day release, because I honestly thought that Kofi Kingston and both Xavier Woods were going to be WWE lifers. I mean, especially Kofi. I really thought that Kofi was going to be a WWE lifer. But I guess it's been said that there's no WWE lifers anymore. And I saw a video today that was talking about back in 2024 when they did the New Day split. We all thought that it was going to be Xavier or Kofi Kingston that was going to turn on Xavier, but it ended up being the 10-year anniversary of the New Day, and Kofi Kingston and both Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods turned on Big E in one of the biggest turns in the WWE. They got so much heat for it, and yet they never really followed up on it. They put New Day with New Day with Grayson Waller, or Grayson Waller with the New Day, and it just they never followed up on it, and they ended up really doing nothing with the New Day. And and this goes along with Santos Escobar has been released. Even though he's out injured, he got released as well. And last week we had Kairi Sane, Aleister Black, the Wyatt Six, all get released, and this was the TKO saying, hey, okay, we got to cut millions of dollars, and the New Day were almost making 7 figures. They were almost making a Sean Ross Sapp, Brian Alvarez of Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer, and Bodyslam.net. They're all reporting that the New Day were making the New Day were making 7 figures. So TKO was like, hey, we've got to cut this. So they WWE had to make some of these releases, which I never thought I would see the New Day, New Day leave the WWE. So now they have 90 days after their release, before they can wrestle. And the one of the Usos put out on their Twitter page, or on their X account, it's a new day, New Day, put out something, and then he had MJF putting out on his X account, it's a new day, yes it is, and a couple of other AEW, Cash Wheeler of FTR put out a post on his X account as well, and I would not be surprised if we saw the New Day in AEW after their release. And Kofi Kingston is Kofi's real name, is his birth name, so Kofi is able to use Kofi Kingston. Obviously Xavier Woods is not, that's his WWE name, but he, on the independents, he went by, or in TNA and in TNA, he went by Consequences Creed or Austin Creed. So we could see, he has that, he has that name, he could use Austin Creed and Kofi Kingston. He has the up down down. Austin Creed has the up down down page, the up down down channel. But yeah, I mean, the New Day, that one really surprised me. I did not, I guess they couldn't come to it's being reported that they weren't able to come to an agreement on a new contract, and so they wanted them to take a pay cut, and New Day, they just couldn't come to terms on an agreement, so they mutually parted ways, and so New Day are gone from the WWE. I'm shocked by this. I did not think that we would be losing Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. I did not think that the New Day would ever leave the WWE. I thought that we would have the New Day around for a long time, that they would retire and be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I mean all this stuff. But I guess there are, unless you're CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, there's really no WWE lifers anymore. I said we had Aleister Black, Zelina Vega, Kairi Sane, the Wyatt Six, Santos Escobar get released, within this last week or so here, with the post WrestleMania releases, as they always have the WWE and TKO now, they always do, even WWE did this before TKO, they would have their post WrestleMania releases, and they'd always release a handful of superstars. It looked like Kofi was going to do something with Javon Evans, and they never followed up on that. They never continued that storyline, and so that just the New Day just kind of got shoved in the back, shoved to the background, and just like, I didn't know, they just had nothing for them to do, and which is unfortunate, because the New Day are one of the most decorated tag teams in recent history in the WWE, along with the Usos. And the fact that you couldn't find anything for the New Day to do, and you didn't use them properly, is a little discouraging, because it's the New Day. I mean, how do you not know how to use the New Day? How do you not use them? I mean, and I understand. I could see Tanga and JC Metao. I knew that when JC Metao came to the WWE, I knew that he was probably not going to be used properly. Same thing with Tanga. They were immediately thrown into a faction, which I think was a huge mistake. But anyway, that's another story for another day. But the big news out of all of this, the big name, the big tag team that has been was released today was the New Day. That's the big news. That's the breaking news. Is the New Day and JC Metao and Tanga are no longer part of the WWE. Now, like I said earlier, I believe with 100% certainty that the New Day will show up in AEW. I do honestly, truly believe that. I believe that they will show up in AEW, and especially since you have MJF tweeting out or putting out an a post on X, on his X account. It's New Day. Yes, it is. And Cash Wheeler putting out his post on his X page. So I do think that we will see the New Day in AEW. I do really believe so, that we're going to get the New Day after 90 days. I do believe that they're going to show up in AEW, and they will change the face of that tag division. I mean, FTR's already done it. FTR's already changed the face of that tag division, but the New Day will add a huge advantage to that tag division. So that's where I see them going. I mean, that's where I see the New Day going. I see the New Day showing up as Austin Creed and Kofi Kingston, not as the New Day, obviously, because that's the WWE, that's their WWE name. But I could definitely see them showing up as Kofi Kingston and Austin Creed in AEW. I really believe that. I truly 100% think that's where they're going to go. And let me know your guys' thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought of the WWE releases. Let me know where you guys think the New Day are going to go. If you guys think they're going to go to AEW, I really think that's where they're going to go. Let me know what you guys think. I will catch you guys in the next one. This is your boy Hollywood Steve saying, when you're Hollywood Steve, you're just too sweet.